Do you hate the thought of working past 55 or 60? Do you hate not being able to live the life you deserve today? Do you hate not knowing what your financial future looks like? It's time to stop doing what you hate. Here's your host, Mr. Harold Green.
Hello, everybody. This is Harold Green of Bright Tree Wealth Management, and it is time to stop doing what you hate. Hopefully, you folks are having a fantastic day today. I'm doing pretty good. Been doing a lot of traveling. Excited to be back here in Vegas. I've gone halfway around the world. I checked off something on my bucket list that, I don't even know if it was on the bucket list. I think it was just something that I've always wanted to do. I've always wanted to go to Okinawa. And just so happened we had an opportunity to do that. And we didn't go to the main island of Okinawa. We went to a smaller island called Miyakojima. And it's kind of like the Japanese Riviera, whatever. It's just really nice. It's like a Japanese version of Hawaii. I mean, it was fantastic. And so glad to do that. Got to visit a lot of clients in Hawaii and just kind of getting caught up. So excited to be back here today, sharing today's show with you folks, which is going to be a very interesting one. And because we're talking about investments, all investments do carry a risk of loss. Before investing any money, make sure you understand your time horizon, your risk tolerance, and make sure you're getting some solid advice, and make sure you're investing according to a well-balanced, comprehensive financial plan that has all of your dreams and goals and all of those things planned in. And please be reminded, don't act on the information that I provide you in the show. It's for informational purposes only. And at the end of the show, if you like what you heard and you think that I can be a help to you, just reach out and we'll see what we can do for you. So today's show is a very interesting one, and I wasn't sure what to call it, but I several different things I can call it. But I think it's going to be the 3 retirement myths that could cost you big. And it's very interesting. So, 1, 2, 3, let's get it. I think a lot of people, when they're looking for investment advice, where do you go? You go to the internet. And with the advent of AI, or should I say the proliferation of AI, investment advice is everywhere. It is everywhere. You watch golf, it's there. And then you start researching on the internet. You saw an ad, you start researching that. You hear something on the news, CNN or CNBC or wherever you listen to your information, you go research that. If that's you, this episode is for you, because I want to talk about how easy it is to get lost in all the videos and the clickbait and all the different things that you can find online, because a lot of that is for revenue generating. It creates ads, and if you're on YouTube and you're a YouTube star, guess what? You get paid for bringing eyeballs. And these days, to get eyeballs, you darn near got to start to be more hyperbolic than ever before. You got to see like some of the craziest stuff, like, I invested $5 and turned it into 15 million. Let me show you 5 steps to do that now. Like, what? And it's sensationalized. And what gets me is this: everybody's heard of Warren Buffett, right? And I follow the CNN Fear and Greed Index a lot. I look at that a lot because it just kind of investment, AAII investor sentiment survey. I look at that stuff a lot because it simply just shows me the psychology of the human being when it comes to investing money in the stock market. It's insane. And Warren Buffett said it beautifully. Like, I don't idolize him or anything like that, but he just had this famous saying that when fearful, you be greedy. And when everybody's greedy, you be fearful. And what he's simply saying is the old adage of buying low and selling high. But because of the human psychology, it messes these strategies up every single time. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to talk to you about the 3 biggest myths floating around, and then I'm going to tell you what actually works. So we're going to be out to do some myth busting. So if you got your myth busting shoes on and your hard hat, let's go get it. So number 1, you need $1 million to retire. Says who? Actually, you might need $3 million to retire. I think they lowballed you on that number. But what if you needed $10 million? What if it was 50? Who cares? Basically, you need more money than you think you have to retire. That's kind of the thing. And where does this come from? And it's all over the financial media. It's all over the headlines. I mean, it's everywhere. I hear people telling me, Harold, I can't retire yet because I don't have $1 million. And here's why I'm going to tell you that this is misleading because number one, like retirement isn't a one size fits all thing. Your needs are going to vary drastically. And I'm probably telling you something you already know. Okay. But there's a lot more to this. If you live in Texas, you need something differently than if you lived in New York. If you lived in Florida, you need probably something differently than you need in Idaho. If you lived in Hawaii, you definitely need something different than if you were living in Las Vegas. And here's why that actually matters because one of the biggest things that what you retire with depends on, or what you need depends on a couple of different things. Number one, cash flow, right? Inflows, outflows. And this is something that I beat to death on a daily basis with my clients. They're sick of hearing it. Harold, you want us to update our cash flow and e-money? Harold, you want us to update our cash flow sheets? I'm tired of updating these sheets. Well, it's part of life. Okay. No successful corporation that don't look at their cash flow and they have whole departments for that, right? Looking at that stuff, analyzing that stuff. And a lot of people, quite frankly, won't do it. It depends on your spending habits, how much you spend. Do you have a gambling habit? Different things like that. Inflation, taxes, property taxes. And I talked about in one of my shows where it had a story about this guy who bought this house in California and the property taxes just went through the roof and he had to get rid of it. Now, couldn't afford the taxes. He had to sell the house. Couldn't take out a home equity line of credit to pay the taxes because didn't have the income to do that. That is insane. And this is a daily topic, but it's important. And here's my take on it. I've helped clients retire with way less than that. And I've retired with, help clients with others that need it more. It's all about the big picture, not like one magic number. And I'm going to give you a couple of different scenarios. And in Hawaii, if somebody's older than you, you call them auntie. If somebody's older than you, you call them uncle, that kind of thing. So it's all about family. And I'm going to talk to you about Auntie, I'll call her Auntie J. And she came to me with, I think, one kid that was in college and another kid that was about to go to college. And she had to medically retire. And I want to say she only had about $500,000 at best. And this was around 2017, 2018, somewhere around there. And that's pretty much all she had. And she was like, Harold, I got to retire. I can't do my job because my job retires me to use my hands. And I have this condition with my hands now that they don't work like they used to. And so therefore I can't work. So I'm going to have to medically retire. And she was already older, but she was working because she just felt like she didn't have enough. And my God, I think I met her because she came to a seminar about how to get kids through college that I was doing way back in the day. And that's how I got a lot of my clients. Back then I was doing college funding workshops, how to pay for college, different things like that. And, she's like, hey, I got to get these kids through school. And I'm in my 60s. She started late having kids. It's like, doggone it, I don't know how to do it, and then, so we had the kids in college and we're working through things. And then she gets hit with this whole retirement bid. And I tell you, she's been taking out a good amount of money every year. I had to replace her entire salary to cover the mortgage, to help cover tuition, to help cover all the bills, all the unexpected bullcrap that happens when you're living in Hawaii. And as far as her net worth right now, I can't say, but it's pretty up there. It's well over $1 million. I think it's almost $2 million right now. And she's been taking out a good amount of money, over 50,000 plus every single year. It's about the strategy that your guy or girl puts in place. It's just not about a number. What if you don't have that? Or as they say in the hood, ain't got that. Like, what if you don't have that number? Well, depending on a lot of different factors, you may not need it. Number two, just follow the 4% rule. And what is the 4% rule? Basically, the 4% rule says it's what you can withdraw from your portfolio every year before it hits what they call portfolio failure, right? It runs out of money. And where did this 4% number come from? I really honestly, as an investment advisor, I don't know. And honestly, I really don't care. I've never even looked at it. It's probably in something that I've read in my studies and financial planning and stuff like that. And you know what they say, you know, if you have $1 million, what you can safely take out 4%, which is 40,000 a year. And it's like keeping up with inflation. And as long as you can keep up with inflation, you're good and so on and so forth. And it's like, yo, 4%, like what if I need 30% out this year because Hurricane Johnny came and like took off my roof, and now the insurance company is taking months to even give us, you know, to give us help. And it, it's hard because it's not necessarily true. And it doesn't always hold up because you got market volatility, you got inflation, you got interest rate changes, and you got these horrible disasters that can happen to you anytime that may require you to take out more than 4%. And there's a real danger of over relying on outdated rules, like the 60/40 portfolio, like 60% stocks and 40% bonds. And I've heard them say 60/40 is dead, like it is done. And if you follow that, depending on the amount of money you have, you could be done too. And I've talked about the strategy in one of my old podcast shows about that. $1 million, 600,000 in stocks, and 400,000 in bonds. But what stocks? Is it stocks and mutual funds? Is it stocks that are going to hold up and generate you 10 to 15% a year? Or is it like stocks that generate dividends that, you know, although they're generating dividends, the dividends aren't enough and you're going to drain that stuff out because, you know, the portfolio is just not performing. 60/40, what? What kind of bonds? Short dated, long dated? These are all things that if you're not sitting down working with somebody, you know, and studying out these things, it can be dangerous. Why? Because if you don't have a dynamic approach, then it's hard to create like personalized withdrawal strategies and risk management. You need a dynamic strategy, something that somebody's constantly watching all the time. That's how I've helped people retire with less money. Myth number 3, you're going to spend less in retirement. Baloney. Baloney. There's 3 phases of retirement. There's the go-go years when you retire and man, you're happy. You got all this money in your pocket. Your 401k is $1 million or $2 million, and you're like on top of the world. You know, you're 50, in your 50s, late 50s, early 60s. You're just, the boss is no more boss, no more knucklehead coworkers. You're done and you're happy and you just want to get out and go and live life. You found like your next, you know, your next breath, right? Those are the go-go years. You and your wife both. And then you got the slow-go years where you still got money and you still have some passion to go do some things, but not as much as others. And then there's the no-go years where you're not really going anywhere except the doctors and back home and over to the kids for dinner, or they come over, whatever. And, you know, you're riding off into the sunset at that point. And the myth is that your expenses automatically go down. No, they don't. They automatically go up. Gas isn't going down. Property taxes aren't going down. The cost of healthcare isn't going down. All of those things are going up. Now, the cost of those things are going up. The amount of things you buy may go down because you may not want as much, but overall, things are going higher. Because reality, like I just said, you got travel, healthcare, family support, hobbies. That's definitely going to increase your spending. And I want to talk about somebody who spent more and why it worked because of proper planning. And if you're a client listening to this show, you probably have heard me mention this guy before, but his name is Brian. Brian came to me like around before COVID. And he came to one of my college funding workshops. It was like at a Dave and Buster's or something. And I forgot what time it was, but really, really nice family. It was not a well-attended event. It might have been him and 2 other families and then a whole like Dave and Buster's. It was just like, they're like, you sure you want to talk to this guy, Harold? People aren't even showing up. And, you know, I went up to him at the end, shook his hand and just kind of looked him in the eye. And it was like just a really a nice guy. I met the kids, met the wife, just nice people. I mean, nice people, nice people. And so he came in for the consultation, and I said, look, you're here. I'm here to share with you what I think we need to do to get the boys through school, through college. And at the end of the day, I'm going to tell you everything. I'm going to tell you what it's going to take. And then I'm going to send you home and think about it and to pray on it and see if this is where you really want to be, like with me or not. Like you can literally go home. I'm not going to ask for a credit card. I'm not going to like try to hard close you or, try to like manipulate the conversation to just steer it towards you giving me a credit card. I said, I'm not doing none of that. Okay. None of it. So we went through the process. And at the end of it, I said, you know what? He wanted to sign up right there on the spot. And I'm like, no. I said, you know what? He wanted to sign up, but it was like, it's like, oh man, like, and I was like, well, no, let's pray about it. So I prayed with him and his wife, grabbed the hands, prayed about it. And I said, you know what? You go home and you pray some more about this because this may not be the right thing. Okay. So he goes home, he prays about it, and he calls me back and says, yo, Harold, I think you're hired. I said, great, let's get started. So we went through the process, and in that meeting, after we got all the data, I did the planning. I said, yo, B, I said, dude, you can retire in 5 years, or I think it was 55. I think he might have been 49 at the time or 50 or something like that. He said, no way. I said, yeah. I said, all we got to do is unwind these, like your 401k, unwind it, and then just start buying stocks. He's like, yo, this whole time I thought that the way to go was like buying mutual funds and dollar cost averaging. And I said, you've done great. I said, we're sitting on $1.5 to $2 million. You guys have done fantastic. I said, but there's just another level that you can get to. And he's like, okay, yo, all right, let's go. I trust you. I prayed about it. I believe that God sent you to me. Let's go. I was like, cool. And then, we bought all these stocks, and then the market crashed because of COVID. But I rotated his portfolio, and it looked amazing come out of COVID. Then I added an option strategy on top of that. And we've like tripled, quadrupled that portfolio. And now he's just out traveling the world. I said, I don't care if you spend $100,000 to $200,000 a year traveling, because we're generating so much right now. We have so much momentum in this portfolio that you can just go live life the way you want. You don't have to worry about anything. Why? Because you're in a dynamic portfolio where we're constantly rotating. We have some safe stuff in there. We have some aggressive stuff in there. We unwind the positions when we need to. We load up when we need to, and we're not getting emotional about it. And we create a budget based on life goals, not assumptions. Okay. Very important. And here's the real problem. There's too much generic advice out there, way too much generic advice, because nobody wants to be sued for giving advice on the internet. So they just put out generic stuff. Even I put out generic stuff sometimes, like even these podcast shows, it's a lot of generic stuff. I'm not going to tell you step by step how to trade options and stuff like that. I'm not going to do that. But general advice can't really replace a personalized plan. YouTube is great for learning stuff, great for learning options, but it won't build your retirement roadmap. And then here's the thing. You got to have some real conversations with us, customize some strategies, and no cookie cutter plans, and take out the emotional disasters in the market. Oh, Harold, I want to sell because the market is down. I said, sell and do what? Put it in cash? Yeah, because I just want to wait until it comes back. I said, no, you sell it and then you look for stuff that's trending up, that will trend up a lot higher, and you do that. No, I don't want to do that because I'm scared. I said, I understand you're scared. And so this is what has happened to millions of people. They've sold at the wrong time. They bought at the wrong time because there's nobody there to talk to. They've read stuff on the internet. They got scared. I had a client the other day worth millions of dollars. We're having lunch, and he says, I pinching myself every day because I can't believe you made me this much money. I'm just going to wake up tomorrow and it's all going to be gone. I said, no. I said, we've rotated and we've unwound a lot of those risky trades. And now you got what, $500,000 of safe money stuff over here, money market, like just a lot of safe money stuff. And now you have, you're fine. That's why we worry. And I said, look, I don't bust my tail for you to worry about stuff. I said, if I wasn't doing my job, then you could worry all day and fire my butt because I'm not doing my job. I said, if I'm doing my job and I'm performing for you, What are you worried about? Well, I just don't want to lose it all. I said, well, then let's unwind more and make it more safer, because now you got so much, you're fine. And here's what to do instead. Don't copy influencers online and start creating your own strategy. And if you're serious about retiring smart, let's have a real conversation about it. Go to the website and request a meeting with me, and somebody will get in touch with you and we'll talk. So thanks a lot for allowing me to share the 3 retirement myths that could cost you big. And until next time, everybody, 1, 2, 3, let's get it.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.